The day I finally held the keys to my own house, I expected peace. Instead, I opened my door to see my mom dragging in suitcases and my brother barking orders like he owned the place. When I told them this was my home, not theirs, my mom snapped. Then where are we supposed to sleep? The keys felt warm in my palm as I stood on the porch of my small bungalow in Willow Creek, Oregon. 3 bedrooms, hardwood floors, a tiny yard I planned to fill with sunflowers. Mine, all mine. But then I heard engines. 2 cars pulling into my driveway, dust spraying across the fresh grass. My heart dropped. A Buick, my parents, and right behind them, an oversized black SUV. My brother, Gavin, his wife, and their 3 kids. I froze. I'd only texted my new address an hour ago. I expected congratulations. Maybe balloons. Not this. Car door slammed. My mom jumped out first, smiling like she'd just won the lottery. My dad followed, lugging a cooler. Then Gavin strutted up the driveway, his kids tumbling out, already tearing across my brand new lawn like it was a playground. Kayla, Mom's voice rang out. There you are? Let's get everything inside before dark. I blinked. Inside. My hand tightened around the keys. Then Gavin popped open the trunk of his SUV. Suitcases. Moving boxes. Actual moving boxes. What is this? My voice cracked, but nobody answered. Mom gave me a bright smile that didn't reach her eyes. We've come to move in, sweetheart. Finally. My brain short-circuited. Move in. Dad was already hauling a box up the porch steps. Gavin gave me a patronizing chuckle, the same one he'd used since we were kids whenever he conned me into covering for him. Don't play dumb, Kayla. We've been planning this for months. Planning what? Living here, Gavin said. This house has enough bedrooms for all of us. It's perfect. The ground tilted under me. 9 years of saving. 9 years of skipped vacations, bagged lunches, overtime shifts, and secondhand furniture. I worked every weekend just to afford this house. And now, in less than 5 minutes, my family had declared it theirs. This is my home, I said louder this time. I bought it for me. Alone. Mom's smile faltered. She stepped closer, lowering her voice like she was sharing a scandalous secret. Kayla, then where do we sleep? The words slammed into me. Sleep? As if my life was theirs to assign, like a spare bed in a motel. Dad waved a hand impatiently. Stop arguing and help with the boxes. We don't have all day. I didn't agree to this. Yes, you did. Gavin's voice turned sharp. You promised. My chest tightened. I never promised anything. Mom crossed her arms, her tone shifting to the one she always used before grounding me as a teenager. Your brother gave up his apartment. The kids are enrolled in school here already. Your father put in notice at work. This isn't just about you, Kayla. Something inside me cracked. For years I had been the responsible one. The fixer. The one who bailed Gavin out of his messes while he chased failed business ideas. I was always expected to sacrifice so he didn't have to. But not this time. Your plans, I said firmly, my hands no longer shaking. Not mine. For the first time, silence fell. Mom's smile froze in place. Dad's box thudded against the porch. Gavin's eyes narrowed. You're being difficult, he muttered. Family takes care of family. His hand landed on my shoulder, pressing just a little too firmly. If you don't help us, who will? I stared down at the keys in my palm. The door behind me was my door. My life was waiting inside those walls. And for the first time, I wondered if I had the courage to finally choose myself. The next 3 days were quiet. Too quiet. My family had driven back to Portland after I slammed my front door in their faces, but I knew this wasn't over. The silence felt like standing in the eye of a storm, calm, but deadly. On the 3rd morning, I got an email. I was sipping my coffee when I saw the subject line. Morgan Family Dream Home. Purchase agreement ready. My hand froze on the mug. The email was from a realtor. My realtor. But why would they send me a purchase agreement? I already had my bungalow. Confused, I clicked it open. My stomach dropped. As requested by Lorraine Morgan. On behalf of Kayla Morgan, primary applicant. My name. My information. A mortgage agreement for a house in Riverside Estates. A sprawling property worth over $750,000. I blinked hard, scrolling faster. A $2,000 deposit had already been paid. Using my account. The room spun. My legs gave out. And I sat on a half-unpacked box, my heart pounding. My own mother had stolen my identity to buy a house. A house she assumed I would pay for. I reread the email until the words blurred. My savings. My credit score. Everything I had built for 9 years. They had gambled it all like it was theirs. The doorbell rang. I didn't move. I already knew who it was. When I finally opened the door, my mom was standing there, flanked by Dad and Gavin. They didn't wait for an invitation. They just walked in, arranging themselves like they owned the place. You look terrible, Mom said flatly, as if my appearance was the problem, not the fact she had just committed identity theft. I held up the email with trembling hands. You used my name. Without permission. Mom waved dismissively. Don't be dramatic, Kayla. I simply initiated the process. We would have consulted you before finalizing anything. Consulted? I snapped. You stole money from me. You signed my name on loan paperwork. That's called helping family, Gavin cut in, pacing my living room like a lawyer preparing a case. The schools there are excellent. We've already enrolled the kids. You'll thank us later. I stared at him. You enrolled your children in a district where you don't even live? Spots fill up fast, Mom said, as if she were explaining a simple scheduling conflict. Dad finally spoke, his tone heavy with annoyance. Stop being selfish. We've already given notice on our apartment. Your brother has left his job. We're all counting on you. My throat tightened. I'm not buying that house. I'm not co-signing anything. This stops now. Mom's eyes filled with tears that felt rehearsed. If your credit score drops, ours will too. Do you want to ruin this family forever? You've ruined it yourselves. I shot back, my voice shaking with rage. 9 years I sacrificed. 9 years of saying no to vacations, no to eating out, no to new clothes. Every single cent went to savings. All for this house. My house. Dad scoffed. Everyone's sacrifices. Not Gavin. I snapped, turning on my brother. Not when you drained my college fund for your stupid coffee shop that collapsed in 6 months. His jaw tightened. That was an investment. In you. I said, voice trembling. Always in you. Never in me. The silence was thick enough to choke on. Then my phone rang, the shrill sound cutting through the tension. On the screen was Noelle, my best friend. For the first time in days, I felt something other than dread. I answered. Hey, she said warmly. You sound terrible. What's going on? I looked at my family, at the stack of stolen documents on my coffee table, at their entitled faces, still so sure I'd cave. And for the first time in my life, I found my voice. We're done, I said clearly. Then I looked directly at them. No. The answer is no. My mother gasped, Dad shook his head, and Gavin stepped forward, his voice low and venomous. You're making the worst mistake of your life. You'll regret this. But I didn't flinch. For the first time, I didn't feel like the weak one in the room. The next morning my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Calls, texts, messages from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. At first, I thought someone had died. Then I saw Gavin's Facebook post. Please keep our family in your prayers. We've been left homeless after being betrayed by someone we trusted. My kids don't understand why their aunt refuses to help them. We don't know where we'll sleep tonight. God bless anyone who still believes in family. Hundreds of comments. Distant cousins, family friends, even neighbors from my childhood chimed in, offering sympathy to Gavin. Not one person knew the truth. By noon, I had 4 voicemails. Aunt Patty sobbed about those poor babies. A cousin accused me of abandoning family for selfish reasons. My own grandmother left a message whispering, I never thought you'd be so cruel, Kayla. Cruel. That word burned. I sat on my couch staring at the phone, shaking. Gavin wasn't just freeloading. He was rewriting the family history. And everyone believed him. Then came the letter. It arrived in the afternoon, tucked into an envelope from Riverside Estates Realty. My hands shook as I tore it open. Inside were loan documents. Not just any documents, official mortgage papers with my name typed neatly on the line marked co-signer. I couldn't breathe. I flipped through the pages. Every signature, every initial, looked like mine, but I hadn't signed a single one. The bank had my name tied to a $768,000 mortgage. I stumbled back, clutching the papers like they might explode. My mother hadn't just initiated the process. She had forged my signature. The phone rang again. This time, I answered. It was Grandma. Kayla, she said softly. I just don't understand. Gavin told us you kicked them out, that they're in a motel now. Do you really want this family split forever? Because if so, her voice wavered, then hardened. Then maybe I should reconsider the will. There it was. A bribe wrapped as a threat. My inheritance dangled like a leash. Grandma, I whispered. They forged my name on a mortgage. I could go to prison if I don't fight this. But she didn't respond. The line went dead. I sank to the floor, tears burning my eyes. I thought I had hit rock bottom. I was wrong. That evening, there was a knock on my door. Not Mom. Not Gavin. Not Dad. Marissa. My sister-in-law stood there clutching a tote bag, her face pale. She hesitated before stepping inside. Kayla, I had to come. Gavin told me everything, but she broke off, biting her lip. Not all of it adds up. He said you agreed to buy Riverside Estates, but I never agreed. I cut in sharply. He's lying. They stole my identity. Look. I shoved the forged documents at her. Her eyes widened as she scanned the papers. Oh my God. He told me you begged to help us. He said you insisted it was your gift to the kids. I laughed bitterly. Gift? I can barely afford this house. They're trying to bury me in debt. Marissa slumped into a chair, covering her face with her hands. For a long time she didn't speak. Finally, she whispered, "Do you know why Gavin is so desperate?" I braced myself. Why? She lowered her hands. Because he already quit his job last week. He has nothing lined up here. He bet everything on you saying yes. My stomach dropped. That's not even the worst part, she continued, her voice trembling. The landlord for our old apartment? Gavin told him you were co-signing a mortgage for us. He broke the lease early. We're supposed to be out in 2 weeks. I stared at her, horrified. So he planned this entire thing months ago. She nodded slowly. He told me if you said no, he'd make sure everyone believed you were heartless. He said, nobody questions me. They'll turn on her. Her words chilled me. It wasn't just entitlement. Gavin was orchestrating a smear campaign, a calculated takeover. For a moment, silence hung between us, heavy and suffocating. Then Marissa reached into her bag and pulled out a flash drive. I couldn't take it anymore. These are Gavin's emails. The ones where he bragged about using your credit. The ones where he told his friends you were too spineless to say no. If you want proof, this is it. My heart pounded. Proof. Finally, proof. But just as hope flickered inside me, my phone lit up with a new message. A screenshot. Gavin had just tagged me publicly in another Facebook post. Please pray for my sister Kayla. She's battling mental health issues, and we're trying to be patient. Forgive her cruelty. She doesn't mean it. She just isn't well. The comments were already flooding in. Stay strong, Gavin. So sad for the kids. Prayers for Kayla's healing. My vision blurred with rage. He wasn't just stealing my money. He was stealing my reputation, my sanity. And for the first time in my life, I wanted revenge. I barely slept that night. My phone buzzed nonstop. Texts, notifications, missed calls. By morning, the entire family tree had turned against me. According to Gavin's posts, I was mentally unstable, selfish, even dangerous. I wanted to crawl into bed and disappear. But then I remembered the flash drive in my bag. Marissa's proof. Gavin wasn't untouchable anymore. That morning, I called my friend Noelle. She worked in IT and owed me a favor. Can you pull everything off this drive and make it readable? I asked. She agreed. 2 hours later, I sat in her office staring at emails that made my blood boil. Gavin had written to friends. Kayla doesn't know it yet, but her credit is mine. She'll roll over like she always does. Easy money. Even if she resists, I'll make her look like the villain. Family always sides with the father of 3, not the single girl with a mortgage. Every line felt like a knife, but it was also ammunition. I printed the worst ones. Then I did something I'd never dared before. I replied to Gavin's latest Facebook post, with receipts. Funny how you call me unstable when I have your emails bragging about forging my name on a loan. Should I post them here, or would you like to explain it yourself? The comments exploded within minutes. Cousins, uncles, even childhood friends demanded answers. For once, Gavin wasn't controlling the narrative. An hour later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Kayla. It was Gavin, his voice low and furious. Take that post down. Now. No. I said, steady for the first time. This ends today. I've got proof you committed fraud. You'll be lucky if I don't call the cops. He went silent for a beat, then chuckled darkly. You think you can ruin me? You have no idea what I'm capable of. The line went dead. 2 hours later, I found out what he meant. I came home from work to flashing lights outside my bungalow. 2 police cars in my driveway. A neighbor stood on the sidewalk, whispering with another. My stomach dropped. Kayla Morgan? An officer asked when I approached. Yes. We received a report of child endangerment and substance abuse on this property. I froze. What? I don't even have kids. The officer exchanged a look with his partner. We have to follow procedure, ma'am. They searched my house, room by room. Of course, they found nothing. But the humiliation burned. My neighbors watched from their porches as if I were some criminal. When the officers finally left, one leaned in quietly. Off the record, this feels like a setup. Whoever reported you gave your full name, address, and claimed you were spiraling. Sound familiar? My blood ran cold. Gavin. He wasn't just smearing me online. He called the cops. I slammed the door behind me, shaking with fury. My phone buzzed. A text from Marissa. You okay? I think Gavin's getting desperate. Be careful. Desperate didn't even cover it. He was trying to destroy me piece by piece. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with the evidence spread out. The forged mortgage papers, the stolen $2,000 deposit, the incriminating emails. My entire life reduced to documents of betrayal. I had two options: stay quiet and hope the storm passed, or fight back harder than ever. I chose the latter. The next morning, I marched into the bank with the forged paperwork. The woman behind the desk scanned the signatures. "These don't match your file," she said flatly. My hands trembled. "So I'm not liable?" "You will be, unless you press charges and we classify this as fraud." My heart pounded. Press charges? Against my own mother? Against my brother? Was I ready to do that? Before I could answer, my phone vibrated again. Another Facebook notification. Gavin had just posted a photo. It was me, standing outside my bungalow with the police. He'd cropped it so it looked like I was being arrested. The caption read, "So sad. Please pray for Kayla. We're hoping she gets the help she needs before it's too late." Hundreds of comments. Sympathy for Gavin. Disgust at me. People I hadn't seen in years whispering about how I'd finally cracked. I wanted to scream, to smash my phone. Instead, I looked at the bank officer and whispered, "Where do I sign to press charges?" Her pen slid across the desk. That evening, Marissa showed up again, pale and shaken. She held her phone out. "You need to see this." It was a group text. Gavin bragging to his buddies, "If Kayla presses charges, I'll leak her old therapy notes. Mom kept copies. We'll bury her before she buries us." I felt the room spin. Therapy notes. From years ago. Stuff I told a counselor when I was 19 and broken from college debt. Notes my mother must have saved. They weren't just stealing my money now. They were planning to steal my privacy. And that's when I realized this wasn't just about a house anymore. This was war. The next morning, I woke up with one clear thought. If my family wanted war, they were about to see how ugly I could fight. I called my bank. I called a lawyer. I called anyone who could help me trace every financial thread my family had touched. By noon, I had a folder thicker than a phone book and enough rage to burn down a city. That's when I found it. Not only had my mother put my name on the Riverside mortgage, but she'd also opened a credit card in my name 6 months ago. $14,000 in debt. Maxed out. Jewelry, furniture, endless family expenses. I laughed. A sharp, hollow sound. Oh, that's rich. Literally. The irony? My credit was excellent because I sacrificed everything for years. No vacations, no shopping sprees, no treat-yourself moments. And my reward for discipline? A surprise $14,000 bill. I called my mom immediately. "Did you seriously open a credit card in my name?" Her voice was cool. "Kayla, don't exaggerate. We needed it for emergencies." "Oh, yes," I said with biting sarcasm. "Emergencies like diamond earrings and a new flat-screen TV. Totally life or death." "You wouldn't understand," she snapped. "When you have a family, there are needs." "Correction," I cut in. "You have needs. Gavin has needs. I just have bills. My bills. Which you keep signing me up for without permission." She huffed like I was being dramatic. "It's just numbers on a screen. You're good with money. You'll figure it out, like you always do." That sentence nearly broke me. Always me. Always the fixer. The responsible one. The safety net. Not anymore. I went online and filed a fraud report. Then, with a smile that felt downright evil, I scheduled a meeting with the extended family. If Gavin wanted to weaponize relatives, fine. Two could play that game. The following Sunday, I walked into Aunt Patty's living room with a folder under my arm and rage in my chest. My mom, dad, Gavin, and Marissa were already there, looking smug. Half the family was squeezed onto couches, whispering as I walked in like the villain entering court. "Kayla," Gavin said smoothly, standing up like he was addressing a jury. "Glad you could finally show your face. Everyone deserves to hear why you left 3 kids without a home." I smiled, slow and sharp. "Perfect. Because I brought visuals." I slapped down the forged mortgage paperwork, then the credit card statements. Gasps echoed around the room. "This," I said coldly, "is my mother's handwriting on a $768,000 loan application. Fraud. In case anyone here skipped Business 101. And this," I flipped to the next page, "is $14,000 in charges on a credit card I didn't know existed. Surprise, I'm apparently funding luxury shopping sprees while eating ramen for 9 years." Murmurs spread through the room. My mom's face went pale, Dad shifted uncomfortably, and Marissa avoided my eyes. But Gavin smirked. "So? You've always had money. You saved while the rest of us lived real lives. This is just balance. Family shares." "Balance." I barked a laugh, savage and bitter. "You blew my college fund on your failed coffee shop. You've had more handouts than a charity drive. If you want balance, maybe try a job instead of treating me like your personal ATM." The room went silent. Aunt Patty blinked, confused. "Wait, you mean Gavin used your college money?" "Oh yes," I said, voice dripping with irony. My diploma should have a footnote. Sponsored by Gavin's bad ideas. A ripple of shock spread. Gavin's smirk faltered. Stop twisting things. Mom snapped, her voice shrill now. We've all sacrificed for you, Kayla. I turned, locking eyes with her. Really? Name one. Name a single sacrifice you made for me. Her mouth opened, then closed. No answer. So I pulled out one last paper. Here's what you did do for me. You tanked my credit with fraud. You drained my tuition. You forged my name on a house I can't afford. But hey, thanks for the memories. The silence was delicious. For once, they had no script. Then Gavin tried to rally. He puffed up his chest. Even if you press charges, no one will believe you. Family sticks together. People will side with us. I tilted my head, smiling with venom. Funny thing, Gavin. Fraud cases don't get decided by family dinners. They get decided in courtrooms. And judges? They love receipts. Which I have in spades. Gasps again. Gavin's jaw twitched. I leaned forward, lowering my voice so the words sliced clean. You wanted to bury me in debt. Instead, you just buried yourself. Congratulations. The look on his face? Worth every painful year leading up to this. But just as I savored the silence, my lawyer texted me one line that turned my blood to ice. We need to talk. There's another account tied to your name. This goes deeper than you think. Another account. Another betrayal. The war wasn't over. It had just escalated. I didn't breathe until I got to my lawyer's office. The word another account had echoed in my head all night like a death toll. He slid a folder across the desk. This isn't just about the Riverside mortgage or the credit card. Your name is tied to a personal loan. $40,000. Issued 18 months ago. The funds were deposited into an account belonging to your brother. My stomach turned. $40,000. My money. My signature. My debt. Except I never signed a thing. I stared at the documents. My forged signature stared back. A bitter laugh tore from my throat. So that's the jackpot? My entire family took turns gutting my life like a piñata while I starved myself with brown bag lunches? The lawyer's face was sympathetic. Kayla, you can fight this. But it means pressing charges. Against all of them. The words landed like a hammer. My own blood. My parents. My brother. Taking them to court felt unthinkable. But living as their victim? That was worse. By the time I drove home, the decision was made. I wasn't their doormat anymore. I was the storm. That evening, my family showed up at my bungalow again, uninvited as always. Gavin barged in first, his usual smug grin plastered on his face. Mom followed, her fake tears loaded for battle. Dad trudged behind, already looking bored, like he had better things to do than face the fallout of fraud. Kayla, Mom started, her voice sugar-coated poison. We've talked, and we think the best solution is simple. Just refinance. Add us officially to the mortgage. That way we all win. I barked out a laugh, so sharp it startled even me. Oh, I'll be refinancing, all right. Just not how you think. I walked to the table and dropped the stack of documents. The fake mortgage, the credit card bill, the $40,000 loan. All of it. Here's the truth, I said, my voice steady but savage. You didn't just try to steal my house. You stole my name, my credit, and my future. And now, I'm done being your personal piggy bank. Gavin rolled his eyes. What are you gonna do? Cry to Grandma again? I smiled. No, I'm going to court. The color drained from Mom's face. Dad's jaw clenched. Gavin scoffed, but his eyes darted nervously. You wouldn't, Mom whispered. Oh, I would, I shot back. Because while you were busy painting me as crazy on Facebook, I was collecting every receipt. Every forged document. Every text where Gavin bragged about screwing me over. Guess what? Judges love receipts. The silence that followed was electric. Then Gavin exploded. You're destroying this family. You'll regret this. I tilted my head, smiling like a shark. Funny. That's exactly what I thought when you drained my college fund. When you forged my signature. When you called the cops on me. Guess what, Gavin? I regret nothing. He lunged forward, but Marissa grabbed his arm. Her face was pale, but her eyes were sharp. She's right, she said quietly. I've seen the emails. The lies. The fraud. I'm done covering for you. The room went still. Gavin's own wife had just defected. For the first time in my life, I saw fear flash across his face. The next weeks moved fast. Fraud reports. Bank investigations. Court filings. My parents stopped calling. Gavin vanished offline. Extended family tried to guilt trip me, but this time, I didn't answer. And then, the day came. In court, Gavin sat slumped beside Mom and Dad, all three looking smaller than I'd ever seen them. The judge read the evidence. The forged signatures. The credit reports. The fraud trail that led straight to them. Verdict, guilty. They were ordered to repay every cent in damages. My name was cleared. My credit restored. Their reputations? Shattered. I walked out of that courtroom taller than I'd ever stood. For once, I wasn't the family scapegoat. I was the survivor. That night, back in my bungalow, I poured a glass of wine and stood in the doorway of my living room. Sunlight streamed across the floorboards. My floorboards. My walls. My home. I thought of every sacrifice they demanded. Every time they told me family shares everything. And I laughed. The sound wasn't bitter anymore. It was free. Because I finally understood, family doesn't mean setting yourself on fire to keep everyone else warm. It means boundaries. It means choice. It means saying no when yes would destroy you. As I hung a framed copy of my mortgage papers, the real ones, with only my name, I felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. That's the end of today's story. Did things turn out the way you thought, or were there some surprises along the way? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't joined the community yet, now's the perfect time. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're always the first to catch new stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.